Good evening, this is Primetime News here on TV1. Bringing you the news, I am Guhaz Irfan. Before we move on to our bulletin, here's a look at your headlines.
Price for rice. Maximum retail prices to be imposed on a few more essentials next week. No food shortage, Trade Minister guarantees. Fertilizer crisis leaves paddy fields barren. Modi insisted Sri Lanka power project to be awarded to Adani. CEB chief reveals. President denies claims. Another consignment of food and medicine from China.
Starting with your top story this evening, some startling revelations have emerged on the decision to allow India's Adani Group to implement a wind power project in Mannar. The Parliament's Committee on Public Enterprises questioned the Ceylon Electricity Board officials on the project yesterday. In the Committee on Public Enterprises questioned the basis of choosing India's Adani Group for a wind power project.
මේ ඉන්දියානු අදානි සමාගමට ඒක පිළිඅරන් තියෙන්නේ කොහොමද? හරි. ඉන්දියාවෙන් ඒ සම්බන්ධයෙන් ඉන්දියා රජයෙන් නිවේදනයක් තියෙනවා. ඉල්ලීමක් තියෙනවද? අපේ නියෝජිතයා මේ ඇයි කියලා.
මේ කියන ඉන්දියානු ප්‍රොජෙක්ට් එක කැබිනට් මණ්ඩලය හරහා තීරණය වෙලා තියෙනවද?
කැබිනට් මණ්ඩලයට ජනාධිපතිතුමාම කැබිනට් මණ්ඩලයට දාලා
ඒක තීරණය වෙලා තියෙනවා. හරි. එතකොට මේ මෙතුමා කියපු ওই කාරණේම ඔය අදානි ව්‍යාපෘති ඉන්දියානු රජයේ representation එකක් හරි නැත්නම් ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ recognize party එකක් විදිහට ඇවිල්ලා තියෙනවද?
මෙහෙමයි උනේ ඇත්ත වශයෙන්ම ජනාධිපතිතුමා මාව සාකච්ඡාවෙන් පස්සේ ගෙන්න.
On November 24th, the president summoned me after a meeting and said India's Prime Minister Modi is pressurizing him to hand over the project to the Adani Group. I said this matter doesn't concern me or the Ceylon Electricity Board and that this concerns the Board of Investment. He insisted that I look into this. I then sent a letter mentioning that the president has instructed me and that the finance secretary should do the needful. I pointed out that this is a government-to-government deal.
President Gotabaya Rajapaksa has denied the remarks made by the Ceylon Electricity Board chairman. In a tweet, the president said he categorically denies authorization to award this project to any specific person or entity.
India has stepped in to support Sri Lanka in overcoming the crisis. Relief packs sent by India were distributed among 550 families in Batiklo today.
China's ambassador to Sri Lanka, Kee Zeng-hong, has spoken on the medical support offered to Sri Lanka by the Chinese government. An event was held in Polonnaruwa today to mark the one-year anniversary of the China-Sri Lanka Friendship National Nephrology Specialized Hospital. Former President Maithripala Sirisena and Chinese ambassador to Sri Lanka, Kee Zeng-hong, were present.
Sri Lanka is facing an economic crisis. China has understood this well. There is no hesitation in providing relief for the people. The health sector is of utmost importance. The Chinese government announced last week that it would donate 500 million yuan in emergency humanitarian aid to Sri Lanka. The first consignment of drugs arrived in Colombo on the 3rd. Large quantities of food and medicine are to be shipped in bulk.
The Chinese ambassador to Sri Lanka had met former President Maithripala Sirisena in Polonnaruwa yesterday. He had promised to provide all possible assistance for Sri Lanka to overcome the crisis.
Frontline Socialist Party General Secretary Kumar Gunaratnam commented on the involvement of India and China in Sri Lanka. Ranil Wickremesinghe accepted the contract of protecting Gotabaya Rajapaksa and the government that were about to be sacked. We can see that they are acting based on the wishes of India and the US in a way that responds to the geopolitical tussles involving India, China and the US. We know how India is trying to achieve what it wants, using the crisis in our country to their advantage. They have created the impression that India is supporting us during difficult times. They have certain regional and power interests through this.
The government fixed a maximum selling rate on rice from yesterday. The Consumer Affairs Authority said it will raid and arrest traders who sell rice at a higher price.
The government has fixed the maximum retail price of white and red kakalo rice at 210 rupees a kilo. The maximum price for 1 kilo of nadu rice is 220 rupees and 230 rupees for a kilo of samba. Kiri samba can be sold at a maximum of 260 rupees. Rice mill owners and wholesale traders say they can't sell rice under the given rates.
Cost වැඩිනේ කොහමද පාලන මිලට දෙන්නේ ඉතින් මේ මිලට ආවොත් තමයි උකරන්න පුළුවන් නැත්නම් මේ කඩේ වාලේ යන්න වෙන්න තමයි තියෙන්නේ
පාලන මිල දාන්න ලංකා හාල් අපිට එකක්වත් නැහැ එක ඇටයක්වත් නැහැ ඉම්පෝට් එක විතර තියෙන්නේ රුපියල් 220යි මේ මිල හාල් මිලත් 220යි කියලා තමයි පාලන මිලත් දාලා දෙන්නේ ඉතින් කොහෙද මේ 220 විකුණන්නේ.
The Small and Medium Scale Rice Mill Owners Association says paddy prices have hit a historic high. For the first time in Sri Lankan history, the cost of a bundle of paddy hit 10,000 rupees. That means a kilo of paddy will cost more than 150 rupees. As rice mill owners, we can buy paddy and sell rice to the market at 260 rupees. As a result, people have to buy rice at more than 280 rupees. Traders say there are no local rice stocks that can be sold under the maximum price.
පාලන මිල දෙන්නට පාලන මිලකට දෙන්න බඩු නැහැ. ඒ කියන්නේ දේශීය බඩු හිඟයි.
We can't buy rice from rice mill owners at even 210 rupees. Although the gazette has been issued, where are the stocks? There is no point in issuing gazettes without having paddy stocks.
තේරුමක් නැහැනේ. ලංකාවේ වෙන්නේ රටේ තමයි තියෙන්නේ. කැකුළුවල් ඇත්තම නැද්ද? කැකුළුවල් ඇත්තම නැහැ.
Minister of Trade, Commerce and Consumer Protection, Nalin Fernandez, says there is no shortage of rice. There won't be a shortage of food or rice in the country. Paddy which was reaped in the Maha season can last for about 4 months. The harvest reaped in the Yala season can be used for about 3 months. Therefore, we have rice for 7 months. We will receive the next Maha season harvest by February 15th. We will only have a shortage for about 2 or 3 months. We will import the rice required for that period. The Paddy Marketing Board has large stocks of paddy. We will convert that into rice and sell it to Satosa, cooperative and local supermarkets at less than 200 rupees. The Consumer Affairs Authority is gathering details on the paddy and rice stocks in the country. Legal action will be taken against those who hoard stocks. We have received requests to release those stocks even under emergency laws. Therefore, we are asking traders to sell this as we have fixed a good rate. Will the controlled price benefit the people?
නිශ්චිතයට කොයි කඩේවත් නැහැ. බොරුවක් කරන්න මේගොල්ලෝ.
මම අපි දැන් ඔයාගෙන යනවා අඩු මිලට කොයිද තියෙන්නේ කියලා.
මෝල්වලට මේ ආම හාල් ගෙනියන්න. මෝල් වල හාල් නැහැ. 300යි කියනවා 290යි කියනවා 260යි කියනවා පාලන මිලක් නැහැ.
මොන්නේ සම්බා ඒව තියෙන රටහල් තියෙනවා. ලංකාවේ මුකුත් නැහැ.
195ට තියුණ කැකුළු මේ ආණ්ඩුව පාලන මිලක් දැම්මනේ 230ක්. ඉතින් මිනිස්සු 230 කරා ෂොක් එකට. පාරිභෝගිකයන් තමයි අවශ්‍ය ආවේ.
UNICEF is appealing for millions of US dollars to help vulnerable children in Sri Lanka. UNICEF, the children's welfare arm of the United Nations, is appealing for $25.3 million to help 1.7 million vulnerable Sri Lankan children. They hope to provide nutrition, healthcare, safe drinking water, education and mental health services. UNICEF representative for Sri Lanka, Christian Skood, said, quote, "The current crisis is stretching families to their limits," end quote. On Thursday, the United Nations launched a joint humanitarian needs and priorities plan. They hope to raise money to address most urgent needs arising from the recent crisis. The World Food Programme has agreed to support Sri Lanka with funding to relaunch the production of Triposha. Secretary to the Ministry of Health, Janaka Chandragupta, said discussions held in this regard with representatives of the World Food Programme in Sri Lanka were successful. Accordingly, steps will be taken to expedite the supply of raw materials, including maize, required for the production of Triposha. The production of Triposha is currently halted due to the shortage of raw materials. Triposha is a nutritional supplement given to undernourished children and expectant and lactating mothers. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe spoke to Executive Director of the UN World Food Programme, David Beasley, and has invited him to visit Sri Lanka. In a tweet, Prime Minister Wickremesinghe said the World Food Programme chief accepted his invitation and is planning to visit Sri Lanka shortly.
As malnutrition continues to rise, things are not looking good for farmers who supply food to the nation. On a regular year, farmers cultivate about 2,000 acres of paddy using water from the Thabbo River, but farmers have not begun cultivating this time. Some fields cultivated by farmers have turned yellow. The agriculture sector has been destroyed by the actions of them. Politicians are hiding urea. They use them in certain paddy fields and then claim those crops were cultivated using compost.
ඉස්සරහට තියෙන ආහාර හිඟයට අපි මූණ දෙන්න නම් අපි මේ වගා කරන එක රකින්න ඕන නේද? ඉස්සරහට ඉතින් මේ ගම් වල ඉන්නටත් බඩ ගෙනියන්න තමයි සිද්ධ වෙන්නේ.
Farmers in Baddegama and other areas say the situation is no different for them. Paddy which they cultivated without fertilizer is now going to waste. When will the government resolve the fertilizer crisis? We will distribute fertilizer by early next month. We receive fertilizer in bulks, but we are importing some bags for farmers as there is a shortage. We have prepared a plan to distribute these fertilizer stocks quickly. We will sell them at 10,000 rupees for farmers who cultivate paddy and corn. Queues in Sri Lanka are continuing as Sri Lanka faces the threat of a looming food crisis. People are now trying to buy kerosene as they find it difficult to buy cooking gas. But a kerosene shortage is making things worse, leaving people in queues. At the Wellawatha filling station, people have been in queue to buy fuel for 4 days. Queues for kerosene near the Sugadadasa Stadium in Colombo were seen for the 6th day today. There are queues for diesel and petrol in many other areas as well. Filling stations in Anuradhapura had run out of diesel. Private bus owners say the diesel shortage has affected their operations. I joined the queue day before yesterday. They are only selling fuel with a limit of 20,000 rupees. How can a bus running from Colombo to Anuradhapura operate with limited fuel? People are left helpless with no way to travel. Sipetco has introduced a new website to highlight the availability of fuel at filling stations. There were queues for gas in many areas today. People in Baddegama received gas after many months. Tensions arose when the stocks that were brought to the area were not enough. Police and army officers intervened to bring the situation under control. Innocent people find themselves involved in scuffles due to the failure of officials to make timely decisions. Shouldn't the people who are suffering just like the other citizens act patiently during these times? As the shortage of cooking gas worsens, Sri Lanka is unable to pay $2.5 million for a 3,900 metric ton consignment of gas. The Mirugama-Athugalpura section of the Central Expressway was declared open a few months ago. The Highways Minister at the time said the construction of expressways would not be stopped as there is enough money in the country. But today, the country is finding it difficult to unload a gas shipment by paying just $2 million and is instead paying demurrages for the delay. Why weren't proactive decisions made well ahead of this crisis?
The Sri Lanka Petroleum Private Tanker Owners Association says fuel distribution has dropped these days. About 250 or 300 fuel bowsers run on a regular day, but this has reduced to about 100 or 150. The sales manager prepares a list every morning highlighting the filling stations that must be given priority. There are about 1,300 Sipetco filling stations, but only about 400 filling stations receive fuel in a single day. Officials can reduce the inconveniences of the people if they inform them the filling stations that would receive fuel.
මොන ඉන්ධන ප්‍රමාණයට අද දින නොයෙල්ලේ කියන එක දැනුවත් කරොත් මම හිතන්නේ මහ ජනතාව මේ විඳින පීඩාව සෑහෙන දුරට අඩු කරගන්න පුළුවන්.
A few months ago, people took to the streets to protest against many issues, including the rising cost of goods. The people of Kohuala were among the first who launched the struggle against the crisis. A protest dubbed Kussiya Aragale was staged at the Kohuala Junction today.
Frustrated citizens in the country have been taken to the streets across the country during the recent past. This includes people from Colombo and its suburbs as well. And even today, people from urban Sri Lanka have come together to the Kohuala Junction to oppose the rising issues that the people are facing owing to the economic crisis in the country. What these protesters are trying to highlight is that they have brought their kitchen utensils, they have brought their pots and pans, and they are trying to stage their protest in quite a unique way to show how not one, not two, but how almost many, or I would say every kitchen in the country has been affected owing to this economic crisis.
Most of the country right now are facing an impending food crisis. Even for those that have food, they can't cook it with no cooking gas.
It's a unique method to show that people are starving. People not only starving because of the price hike of the food, but also people do not have kerosene to cook. And not only kerosene, people do not have gas for like months and months.
So right now, not just within rural areas, but people in Colombo are affected and will get more affected. This economic crisis has affected even the privileged.
And the cabinet keeps telling us that we have to prepare for even worse situation. We don't need a cabinet to tell us that.
We want system change, and the people will not stop till it happens peacefully.
News First with the people.
President Gotabaya Rajapaksa has called for a study into the public administration service. He has said that the aim of the study would be to deliver quality public service and increase employee satisfaction.
President Gotabaya Rajapaksa has highlighted the importance of decentralizing state services. He said workers can avoid travelling to Colombo for work if state institutions can set up provincial offices. Just like working from home, is there a way operations can be decentralized to prevent people from other provinces from travelling to Colombo? Some employees at state institutions come to the Colombo district from other districts only for work. A study must be conducted to find out about that. Then it will benefit both sides.
To
successfully prevent dollars from being spent to import fuel, we are taking steps to grant Friday as a holiday for state employees and for them to cultivate crops. We expect to see the efficiency of this move if they contribute towards this and not remain at home. At the height of the COVID-19 pandemic, the President introduced the system of working from home. We have issued the relevant instructions to implement the same at provincial levels. The discussion focused on fast-tracking disciplinary inquiries into public servants and making plans to get the maximum service out of them. The Ministries of Public Administration and Agriculture have decided to launch a joint national food security program under the theme "Let's Grow Together, Win the Country." Officials had pointed out the need to accurately identify suitable crops for cultivation in each area. The President had also advised to give priority to youth in the agriculture sector and to achieve greater productivity. and plan for higher yields using new technology. People overseas are willing to commit themselves in the process of preparing fields for cultivation and buying the seeds that are required. We will promote this program on social media next week. They will support this. The youth also feel motivated. We only need to prepare the land required for them. We have informed the district secretary and the divisional secretary to make the necessary arrangements. A circular has been issued as well. We have a special operations center to handle this. We will issue the WhatsApp numbers and hotlines to the media.
Opposition leader Sajid Premadasa says decisions must be made in terms of national interest. He made these comments at a meeting with representatives of the shipping, aviation, port and export sectors. There are no betrayals in the Samagi Jana Alliance led by the Samagi Jana Balawegya. We have never made personal decisions out of greed for power or positions. We make decisions on behalf of the country and on behalf of the 22 million people. Good decisions are important for businesses to generate profits. The country shouldn't run for the benefit of politicians to achieve personal benefits. Decisions must be made for the benefit of national interest. We won't make decisions that betray the people. We will make only progressive decisions.
More news will come your way after this short commercial break. Stay tuned.
මොකද මහත්තයා මේ නෑ මේ ගෙදර සිංක් එකේ අයි මහත්තයා ස්ලෝන් නෙමෙයිද දැම්මේ හදිස්සියට බාලා පයිප්පයක් දැම්මේ නැද්ද මුදලාලි ඊයේ පෙරේදා කඩේ රිපෙයාර් කරන්න ගෙනාපු ගම් චුට්ටා මේ වගේ ප්‍රශ්න වලට හොඳම විසඳුම ස්ලෝන් ගම් චුට්ටා හැබැයි ඉක්මනින් දාගන්න ස්ලෝන් පයිප්පයක්
ස්ලෝන් ගම් චුට්ටා හැම ගෙදරකම සිටිය යුතු ජනනල කාර්මිකයා දැන් ළඟම ග්‍රොසරියෙන් මිලදී ගන්න.
A collective of private citizens organised a press conference today to announce the formation of a human chain from Nodil Gama to Gotago Gama.
A group of citizens have come together to form a human chain from Nodil Gama to Gotago Gama. They say their intention is to highlight the demands of the people and to continue their support for the Aragalaya.
Obviously, government is not hearing us. They are not listening to a thing that the people want. And they somehow don't seem to have the right answers as to how they can provide for the people or allow for a future for all the citizens of this country.
They are asking us to pedal bicycles. We were the ones who asked to use bicycles. But do your part.
Do your part.
The United States will no longer require persons to have proof of a negative COVID-19 test when entering the country.
United States officials have said anyone entering the country do not need to compulsorily have a negative COVID-19 test. They said they are dropping the requirement due to tremendous progress the country has made against the virus. The change comes into effect on Sunday. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention will re-evaluate the policy in 90 days. Most non-US citizens must still be vaccinated to travel to the country.
Pakistan is planning to raise taxes and ban government officials from buying new cars. They have announced these plans to obtain bailout money from the International Monetary Fund.
Pakistan is facing a balance of payments crisis. Its foreign reserves are less than $10 billion. That's hardly enough for 45 days of imports. Pakistan is now seeking help from the IMF. Finance Minister Miftah Ismail said the new budget will raise taxes on the rich, ban the import of cars and the buying of new vehicles by government officials. It was not immediately clear if the ban related just to official vehicles or those for personal use.